Warning. The Intercontinental Committee on Podcasting warns that listening to the Get the Fluff Out podcast may induce euphoric feelings of nostalgia, which may lead to complete and total ratitude.
The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Fluff, get the fluff out.
Welcome to Get the Fluff Out. I'm Hollywood, along with your co-host, Dirty Jim. And thanks for joining us on our rockin' journey through the decades in our quest for the musical Holy Grail, creating the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist. On each episode, we'll choose which songs from an album review that will make the cut to appear on the playlist. It's time to experience the soundtrack of our lives. And now, for your listening pleasure, it's time for the GTFO podcast with Hollywood and Dirty Jim. Dirty, what's going on?
What you just did is the intro played, and then you just did another intro.
I did.
I heard you doing it. I'm like, wait a second, don't we already have an intro?
Exactly.
And that guy's just as annoying as the guy I just heard.
What's going on in your world, dude?
Not too much. Just hanging out today. Have had a busy week. Wait, what day is... Oh, it's Monday. I had a busy last week, I guess. When you're retired, days just flow right into one another.
Oh, wow. Just cry me a river, dude.
I just did.
You did?
People should feel bad for me because, you people out there who have these set schedules where you have to go to work, I have to find something to do during those times.
Dude, you know how many millions of people, well, maybe thousands, listening to the podcast, not millions.
Hey, if there's millions of people listening to this podcast, you could retire too.
Exactly, right? But listen, you are one of the very few fortunate ones who is able to retire at the age of 47, 48?
I retired at 47.
47. Oh my God. Look at that. Yeah. And now you have the difficult task of trying to figure out, how do I fill my day?
Yeah. Sometimes I got to tell you, I mull it over and then just take a nap.
Oh my God, that's too funny, dude. Let me mull it over, take it up, and you're like, hey, Frankie, Fiona, come on over here, keep me company.
They're already there. They're like, is it nap time? Every time they see me, is it nap time?
That's fun. How are your kitties doing? How are they?
Absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. Good to hear.
I would kill for them. I would protect them with my life.
Good to hear. All right. You know what? We got a full episode here coming up, so why don't we start digging in?
Yeah, before you start digging in, I think I was just going to say the same thing to you. I think that bands a long time ago should have said no more than 10 songs per album because it just makes it harder on us.
It does. They should have seen that in the future.
Right. And you know what? Usually when someone throws up 13 songs on an album, we pretty much know they could have probably killed 3 of those. So let's get right into it. Let them know what we're doing today.
All right. So today we're going to be reviewing the classic 1992 quadruple platinum album. That's 4+ million albums sold. The album is called Dirt by Alice in Chains. Now, the band Alice in Chains, they originated in Seattle, Washington in 1987, and this particular album, Dirt, is their sophomore effort. It was released September 29th, 1992, and then we have the original classic band members, Lane Staley on vocals and guitar a little bit on a couple songs. Obviously, unfortunately and sadly, Lane Staley did die back April 5th, 2002. The sad part was he was actually just found in his condo like 2 weeks after he had died. I mean, the coroner, they determined he had been dead for 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
And, Yeah, it was a heroin overdose, so very sad.
Being a firefighter, I've seen some bodies that have laid there for a period of time, but I don't believe I've ever seen one that's been laying there for 2 weeks or smelled one.
Wow, yeah, that must have been just insanely
crazy.
Gross, yeah. Then we have Jerry Cantrell on guitar and vocals, as well as backing vocals. Mike Starr on bass. Sadly, he just died. Well, not just died, but he died about back in 2011. So he's gone. And then Sean Kinney on the drums. So those are the band members. That's the album information. Dirty Jim, I know you have some album notes, so why don't you give it to me?
Oh boy, do I have notes for this one. Thank God you already took care of letting them know that this went 4 times platinum, so I don't have to say it.
Even though you just did.
All right, this also hit number 6 on the U.S. Billboard 200, number 11 in Sweden, number 13 in Australia, number 15 in Norway, number 17 in the Netherlands. And this album was nominated for a Grammy Award for the Best Hard Rock Performance, but it lost out to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And in 2016, it was number 26 on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest metal albums of all time, and also number 6 on their 2019 list of the 50 greatest grunge albums. And I'm not done yet, Hollywood. It was included in the 2005 book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. It was Kerrang! Magazine's Critics' Choice Album of the Year. It was named the Best Guitar Album of 1992 by Guitar World. And last but not least, it is the last album recorded with all 4 original members.
Wow, that's a lot of accolades, a lot of information. So we're all set now. Let's go ahead and dig into dirt.
Track 1, Them Bones. Okay, so Them Bones is the second single of the album, and this song is right in your face for the first 10 seconds, and then it breaks down into a slower, steady, heavy, lurking groove for the verses. The chorus is short, but it does stand out as far as I'm concerned. And the solo, Hollywood, is bursting with tasty auditory flavor.
Wow, you're commenting on a guitar solo.
I know. I knew you would enjoy that one.
That's very rare.
Like I say all the time, I kind of do this for the last song on the album. I'm like a broken record when it comes to that, but this is a great start to the album, and it is a prime cut for me.
Okay, so Them Bones. So this opening track starts right away with this heavy chunking riff and Lane Staley just shouting, "Ah!" Dun, 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 ah! That heavy echo on his voice right away. And then at that 10-second mark, we hear that signature Alice in Chains dissonant vocal harmonies between Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell. I mean, when I first heard Alice in Chains back in the 90s, I absolutely fell in love with that style of dissonant vocal harmonies because, I mean, it was so different from the polished heavy metal vocals of the 80s. So I loved that it was different. And then, just as you said, Dirty Jim, Jerry Cantrell, he plays a very awesome, cool guitar solo. When I think of this album, I think the album Dirt is, I consider it a transitional album. And what I mean there is, it has elements of heavy metal throughout the album, but it's not a heavy metal album. It's crazy. I don't think I consider it grunge, but it's a very strange mix of metal and, I guess, alternative, hard rock, hardcore, I guess grunge, whatever you want to call it. But right away, this song, Them Bones, it's only 2.5 minutes long, and my God, it's an amazing song. Just like you said, great way to start the album, prime cut, and making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
All right, so we're both in agreement there. Let's see what happens for track number 2, Damn the River.
So for me, Damn the River, I love the main opening guitar riff. You're going to hear that a lot. It's heavy, it's driving, and to me, it's a crushing song. There's a really cool guitar solo, and to me, the first 2 tracks of this album are like when Mike Tyson knocked out Michael Spinks in the first round with that 1-2 punch.
Didn't he knock out about 100 people in the first round?
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I thought of Michael Spinks. So
Okay.
Because when you look at the footage, it actually was a 1-2 punch. It was one with the left and then a right hook. Down he went. So absolutely a prime cut for Damn That River, making the Gen X Rockin' playlist.
Mike Tyson got so many people excited. Like, you'd be like, oh, Tyson's fighting Saturday night. Everyone's getting ready. And if you went to that microwave because it went off, like right as the bell went off for a Tyson fight and you went to go grab whatever was coming out, you may miss the biggest part of the night. Because most of later on, as his career started going on and he was knocking out people in the first round, people who were paying for the pay-per-view were starting to get pissed off because they're paying like 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks, whatever it was back then. And that's it. It's over in a minute. Well, that's why you have to get a good group of friends together so you could have a party throughout the night. And then if the fight is only 34 seconds, at least you had a fun time beforehand. But if you rented this yourself, that you definitely you feel ripped off.
Yeah.
Because you want Mike Tyson to do that to someone for 10 rounds, but there's no one that can take that beating for 10 rounds.
Wow, we just turned this into a sports podcast.
Yeah. Well, and there they are, coming around the bend. So,
yeah.
All right, let me
ahead.
get into track number 2, Damn the River. Now, here's a song on a mission. It rocks you with a menacing upper medium tempo, and it doesn't hold back for 3 minutes and 9 seconds. You should just add this to your workout playlist and watch those muscles grow. But remember to consult your physician before beginning any new fitness program. And I had to put that disclaimer in so that the GTFO podcast doesn't get sued for promoting fitness without a license, I guess you would call it. But
thank you for protecting us, our liability interests.
You're welcome. But anyway, Damn the River for me, it has a Dirty Jim seal of approval. It's another prime cut. And let's just move on down to track number 3, Rain When I Die.
Okay, so this track starts with a slow bass line and a drum pattern with this kind of chaotic whammy bar solo by Jerry Cantrell. It goes on for about a minute. I don't think it really added anything significantly to the song. They could have really just cut out that first minute of the song. But when the main riff kicks in with this kind of heavy distorted guitars running through a wah-wah pedal effect, then now the song starts. And then the way that Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell complement each other on their vocal harmonies throughout the song, super, super impressive. I mean, the chorus really shows the powerful dynamics of Lane Staley's voice, which is, to me, is amazing on this track. And then you have this slow bridge breakdown, again with the dissonant vocal harmonies, insanely good. Now, it gets to the end of the song. I did not care for the long, slow fade out at the end where it kind of fades back in before an abrupt end. They could have chopped off a minute and a half at the end, so they could have actually chopped off 2 minutes of the song, 2.5 minutes of the song to make it like a solid 4-minute song. But for me, I still dig it. It's a prime cut, making the Gen X mixtape playlist.
You know what? Listening to you, I have a lot of the same stuff here because I agree that intro, that long, it really doesn't even have anything to do with the song.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
Right. Are you telling me to cut it out or cut the intro out?
I'm saying cut that intro out. It didn't add to the song.
Right, and the end, I agree. And I don't know why they came back in because I was ready for it to be over. And if this was a 4-minute song, this is a solid, deeper cut for me. Solid. Mm-hmm. And it still is because although if it goes away, like if you said it was a cold cut, I would not cry that it was gone, but I do like it. There is stuff in here that I like. So I have deep cut written here. There are parts about it. It's a little monotonous at times, and it's really, really just, it's low. Like, it is.
Dude,
it's a depressing album, you know?
We haven't even gotten to the real depressing stuff yet. So
I know.
Hang on.
I know. But I'm going to say that I like it enough to keep it around. If you can get through that first part and forget about that last part, the middle section is well worth a listen. And
absolutely. I love that middle section.
It's a deep cut for me. Let's get down to track number 4, and it's your turn again. I gave you the lead on the third one because I wanted you to tell me what you thought about it. I was hoping you didn't home team it to death because I know you love this album, and you didn't, and I like that. So let's get down to track number 4, Down in a Hole.
Okay, so Down in a Hole. Now, this is a slow, moody ballad. It has a combination of acoustic and electric guitars that has some really heavy rockin' moments in the song. And lyrically, the song has a lot of great lines. Like in the second verse, I like where Lane sings, "Down in a hole, and I don't know if I can be saved. See my heart, I decorate it like a grave." Then in the chorus, it partly says, "Down in a hole, losing my soul, I'd like to fly, but my wings have been so denied." Wow. I mean, powerful stuff. And then, again, the dual vocal harmonies take center stage as the highlight of the track for me. Yes, this song is morose. It's depressing. But sometimes you get in a mood where misery loves company, and you hear a song, and in a strange way, you kind of connect with it, and it actually lifts you up and makes you feel better. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, but this
you
song,
know what? Because I'm not getting it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But to me, I love Down in the Hole. I love the vocals and everything about it. Prime cut for me all the way, making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
Okay, so Down in the Hole, it did stay on the Billboard mainstream rock tracks for 21 weeks, peaking at number 10. That's a lot of weeks for a song like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, like the last track, this one also trudges forward at a slow, heavy, steady pace, but it has a lot more to it. There is way more sound to this song than what was the last one, Rain When I Die. You know, and especially vocally, I love the vocals on this one.
Yeah, me too.
Like you said, Down in the Hole is dark and oppressive, and to me it sounds like what a musical version of a drug haze would be.
Yeah.
It is the 5th song of this album, but on the Gen X playlist, it is a prime cut, and we both agree on that.
All right.
So let's move down to track number 5, Sick Man. Sick Man for me. I love the Rob Zombie tribal start to this one, but then the wheels kind of come off. I know that I always claim, and you bust my ass about it a lot, to like a great flow. And I myself, I feel like, I don't know if it was Jimmy Swagger, but I have strayed from that on many occasions. But Sick Man really challenged my flow leniency levels. It did have some decent moments, but the drastic changes made it hard for me to really enjoy. And because of that, to the fluff, it goes.
I'm laughing because listen to my review.
Okay.
Sounds
you mentioned me. I know you mentioned me.
Very similar to yours, but listen. so Sick Man, to me, it starts off with a promising and driving tribal drum beat.
Definitely.
and a cool chunking metal riff under the verse for the first 35 seconds. So 35 seconds goes into the song. I'm like, okay, I like this. And the drums are going. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a good song. And then suddenly it transitions into a cacophony of noise.
Cacophony.
With screaming. You like that one, right? Look it up.
Go ahead.
Of noise with screaming and crashing cymbals before slowing down to drudging vocals. And it does this back and forth over and over and over for over 5.5 minutes. This song is all over the place with absolutely no flow, as Dirty Jim would say. So, because I love our faithful GTFO listeners, I don't want this sick man to infect our Gen X peeps. So, sick man, you can go ahead, cough and vomit all you want off in the fluffy wasteland. Out you go.
I agree with you, because if you infect one person, that person's going to infect another person, and before you know it, we have another pandemic on our hands.
And we don't want that. We went through 2.5 years of it.
Well, I'll spend a lot of time in my closet recording episodes, though. But I agree with you with that tribal. The tribal part of this song is awesome.
It's the best part. That 35, the initial 35 seconds, and then it did it throughout the song too. But it's back and forth, up and down, all around. I couldn't get into the song. There was no flow.
Right. All right. Well, let's get done with Sick Man. Let's move down to track number 6, Rooster.
So for me, the song Rooster. Yeah, baby. I think I got it.
I'm not sure.
No?
I'm not sure. I mean, hey, so if you think you got it, then you go, sport.
I think I heard it, but here we go. So from the opening of that harmonized falsetto line, this track, Rooster, it takes you on a journey through the horrors of the Vietnam War and the experiences of those Vietnam vets returning home to be spit on and rejected. Now, Jerry Cantrell's dad, his nickname was Rooster, and that's why he called the song Rooster. But his father never talked about his war experiences, so Jerry had to kind of make up a story as to what his father must have gone through. So both lyrically and musically, this song is freaking powerful. It's heavy. And I think my favorite part of the song is, and probably the favorite part for most people is that chorus with those stunning, awesome vocal harmonies again. To me, it's absolutely a no-brainer. It's a prime cut, and it's also my cockle-doodle-doo, totally fly, dabomb.com track of the album.
I could see some serious sound effects coming in with that one.
Do it, Frank! Frank, go do your job! Oh, that's our producer, guys. Our producer engineer, Frank.
Oh, everyone knows about Frank and his Vespa.
Yeah. Poor Frank and his Vespa.
Has he been walking?
Yeah, he's doing fine. His scabs have already healed.
No, I'm not talking about is he walking? I realize he could walk. I realize he's okay, but has he been doing a lot of walking since his Vespa was in the shop?
Oh, no, the Vespa was fine. I mean, it got some scrapes on the actual Vespa itself, but no, it's fine.
All right. Well, let me get into Rooster. So this was on the Billboard mainstream rock tracks for 20 weeks, and it peaked at number 7. All right, you're going to be a little shocked at this one, but I have never been a big fan of this song. You know what it really reminds me of, and it has nothing to do with it at all, is that song Little Red Rooster that just goes on and on, the bluesy song.
Yeah.
I can't stand that one either. It's just too long and not a lot going on. But I do see the attraction to this song, but I have to admit that when it comes on the radio, I usually change the station. A lot like when Led Zeppelin comes on for us, you know?
I see.
If not for the chorus livening it up, it really would just be a long, mostly lifeless song. And I understand with the whole thing that it has to do with Vietnam. You know, I see the story that goes with it, and I know he wrote it about his father, who was nicknamed Rooster, like you said. But the rest of it, besides that chorus, really is just long and lifeless. And although I'm not a big fan of it, this might surprise you. But I do think it has a place on this playlist. But that place for me would be as a deep cut.
I see. Okay.
What, are you upset? Are you upset with me?
No, it's great. I'm glad that you have it as a deep cut. But yeah, I mean, I of course, obviously you heard my review.
Yeah.
I love it. So.
But did we mention that was the 4th single of the album?
I don't think so.
I just did. Let's get down to track number 7, Junkhead. Okay, so Junkhead. It is just 5 minutes of slow, boring ear displeasure. I don't know what they were going for with the chorus. I would love to roll this song up into a ball and throw it into the land of Fluff myself. But that's silly, Hollywood. You can't roll a song into a ball. But that doesn't change anything. It's still a Fluff cut for me.
Okay, so for me, Junkhead. Now, you can definitely hear the Black Sabbath influence on this album.
You know, listen to this for 1 second. I will be mentioning Black Sabbath later in this thing.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but Junkhead to me is probably the most Black Sabbath sounding main guitar riff on the album. Just listening to the main riff, you hear, wow, that sounds like Sabbath. I mean, I thought it actually was sound like something off the latest album, 13. But dude, I don't really care for the verses in this song at all.
Right.
It's sludgy. It's depressing. I think my favorite part of the song is the main guitar riff, and I do really like the singing in the chorus. But the rest of the song falls flat for me. I'm sorry, Junkhead. You're out of here. Off to the fluffy wasteland you go.
Now get the fluff out and don't come back. Ain't nobody never gonna love you.
I thought you were going to say that your favorite part of the song was the end, and I was going to totally agree. But let's move on down to track number 8, Dirt.
Okay, so Dirt. Now, everything I said about the last track, Junkhead, applies to this title track, Dirt. My God, it's the title track.
Yeah.
And I like the guitar solo. But the chorus, it's only okay. But it just doesn't do anything for me. To me, it's a very long 5 minutes and 16 seconds of a song. It just, I remember I was listening to it, and I'm thinking, oh, the song's got to be over. It's got to be 5 minutes. I looked at the timing. It was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm like, dear God, I still have another 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. So I'm going to ask you a question, Dirty Joe.
Yep.
Do you know what place has a lot of dirt and is a wasteland devoid of green foliage?
Desert.
Yes, a place called Fluffyville.
Oh, I didn't realize it. I don't even know what Fluffville looks like.
That's where dirt belongs. 2 words. Bye-bye.
So, Dirt for me, I feel the same way as you do. And I'm saying if you are looking to get rid of those end of the night party pests, look no further than these last 2 songs. If you play them when I'm there, I will take that hint. I agree with you, and I feel no remorse for my decision. I hope it has a soft landing. It's a Fluff cut for me. Now, let's get on down to track number 9, Godsmack. Hollywood, when you listen to Godsmack and you hear that vocal effect at the beginning of the verses, does anything come to mind?
I mean, what do you mean?
Well, here's what comes to mind for me. Are you ready?
Okay.
I wish I was in Tijuana eating barbecued iguana.
Oh my God, that's a wall of voodoo, Mexican radio.
I'm a Mexican, whoa, radio. I heard that, and
I haven't heard that.
I'm like, what is that? But you know what? I I actually found it kind of interesting. But this song, it's got a steady, medium tempo, rocking groove. I didn't love it at first, but as I kept listening to it, like, because I don't remember hearing this song a lot back when the album first came out, but it kind of grew on me. The best part of the song is the chorus, especially the last one at the end of this. It actually ends the song. This is a good song. It's not spectacular, but it does stand out, and it only gets better the more you hear it. It's not a prime cut, but it's, to me, a more than decent deep cut.
Okay, so for me, Godsmack, here, just like you were saying, Lane Staley sings the verses of the song in this strange, warbly voice.
Right.
I mean, just that first verse is like, care not for the men who wonder.
I'm on a
what is
Mexican, whoa, whoa.
Radio, whoa. Now, every time I hear that song, I'm going to think of A Wall of Voodoo.
Maybe it was an ode to them.
Maybe. But then Lane, he actually sings the pre-chorus and the chorus in his normal singing voice. And I do like the chorus. It's actually the best part of the song, where they have that wah-wah pedal effect on the guitar, you know, what in God's name have you done? And he just goes, wah, 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 wah. So I like that part of the song. But dude, I unlike you, I can't get past that warbly singing in the verses. It's throwing me off. To me, it's another fluff cut. Off to the land of the fluffy cuts you go, Godsmack.
So the first, the first 4 songs made the list. Sick Man did not make the list. Rooster made the list. Junkhead, Dirt, and Godsmack all go to the fluffy wasteland.
This is true, my friend.
All right, I was just doing a recap. You know what? Yep. We might as well throw 10 there also, but let's get into track number 10. Intro, Dream Sequence / Iron Gland.
Yeah, depending on where you look at this, I mean, it could be listed as unlisted track, untitled track, or whatever. Iron Glands. It's just 43 seconds. It's not a song.
No.
It's a nothing track. I mean, these guys are just goofing around in the studio. They had Tom Araya, who's the lead singer and bass player of Slayer, hanging out with them. They're probably all wasted. And they do this strange parody of the intro to Iron Man by Black Sabbath, and they call it Iron Gland. And it's nothing. It's just, put it at the very end of the album as like a secret track or something. Don't put it in the middle of your playlist. I thought that was a dumb decision. It's absolutely a fluff cut. Out of here.
I totally agree with everything you said, except for putting it at the end of the album. I say cut it right off of the album. It's a fluff cut for me.
Clear. I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. It's just a really bad song.
Let's move down to track 11, Hate to Feel. I do like the chorus in this one, and that's about it. It's too choppy. I don't get the structure at all. Instrumentally, I do hear Old Sabbath in some of these songs, but Ozzy is not here to save the day for this one. I'm sure I'm angering some of these hardcore Alice in Chains fans, but it's fluff cut number 5 for me.
Okay, so for me, Hate to Feel. Hate to Feel is my 5th fluff cut in a row and 6th fluff cut of the entire album. That's it. I have nothing to say. It's never happened on an album review before.
Right.
There's some parts of the song I like. And that's the problem with several of these songs. There's parts. There's cool parts of the songs that are just really cool, but then they kind of ruin it with other weird, strange aspects of it, or there's no flow. Something about them is just not clicking with me. But the songs that are awesome to me are freaking very awesome. So I'm like, up and down with this album. And so anyway, it's another song, doesn't resonate. It's my 6th fluff cut of the album.
You are shocking the hell out of me because I know you love these guys. And
I do.
And I'm sitting here saying, wow, he is going to be very disappointed. I only fluff cutted 5 of these songs. You did 6. So
I did 6.
I thought I was gonna be sitting here going back and forth with you going, come on, how can you possibly say this deserves to be on a playlist?
You were ready to fight.
Yeah, and I was actually ready because I still have to defend myself for the Skillet album. I still feel a little bad about a couple of those songs. But I'm just shocked that you've done this many in a row. But I think things are about to change with track number 12, Angry Chair.
Okay, so for me, Angry Chair and Dirty Jim is just, he knows me.
And then I don't.
And then you don't.
Right.
So for the first 9 seconds, Angry Chair starts with a drum beat pattern and a slow, arpeggiated, clean tone. There you go, Evelyn. Arpeggiated.
That's right.
Clean tone guitar with a heavy reverb. And then you hear this one heavily multi-track distorted guitar chord strummed like the sound of... Then we hear the beautiful dissonant vocal harmonies again of Staley and Cantrell singing together in the verses. All the singing parts on this song, the verses, the pre-chorus, the chorus, amazing. I love this song, and that it's... Here we are. We're on a track with a song that I actually connect with. I love it. Angry Chair is an absolute prime cut, making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
It's about time, because I was getting a little worried there. This album was... I when I came to these last 2 songs, I was like, whoo, thank you. Thank you. But let me do my track number 12, Angry Chair. And did you mention it was the 3rd single? If you didn't, I did. And if you did, now they know it twice. So Angry Chair is choppy, like quite a few on here, but the changes aren't as drastic, and they complement one another very well. I don't mind a change. I mean, I do like a good flow. I like a good, solid...
You just said the chorus. I don't mind. I don't mind, yeah.
That wasn't even intentional, but you're welcome. But, like, I like a flow, but if it's not that good of a flow, or if it's not a flow, at least makes sense. And this song does. I love everything about the vocals, like you were saying, and I really love everything about this song. It is a prime cut for me. Let's just get down to track 13 and the final track of the album, Wood. Okay, so Wood is the first single of the album, and it also features co-lead vocals with Cantrell. And this was a tribute to the lead vocalist of Mother Love Bone, Andrew Wood, by Jerry Cantrell. Now, the verses are haunting and slowly stalk you, and the chorus is outstanding. These last 2 songs are phenomenal. They could have easily gotten rid of, I don't even know how many tracks, 5, and made this a 7, 8, or 9 track album. But I'm absolutely glad that this one joined the party. It's the cat's pajamas, Hollywood. Yeah, the bee's knees, if you will. The creme de la creme.
Okay.
It's definitely a prime cut, and it's also and as if you couldn't guess, because it's track number 13, the last song of the album, and I haven't claimed any as my own. But it is my stay away from this album if you're feeling slightly down in any way track of the album.
Why? Why me? No, I can't believe it. Why?
Oh, dude, that's too funny. All right, so for me, again, this is track 13. It's the last track of the album, and they chose this song as the first single.
Right.
It's weird that the last track on an album would be the very first one they introduced to the world. But anyway, it's a great track. I love it. I mean, it's a song that they actually used in the 1992 movie Singles. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I did.
Yeah, it had Matt Dillon and Bridget Fonda, and then all these, bands from Seattle. Yeah, it's a really cool movie. But anyway, for this song, it's a mid-tempo song. It kind of starts with this bass line joined by the drums and guitar, kind of creating this moody landscape for Jerry Cantrell to sing the verses first, and then Lane Staley joins Cantrell to sing just the last words of each line of the lyrics. To me, great chorus. There's a very cool guitar solo, and I love the way they ended the song. If I would, could you? Dude, such a powerful way to end the song and the album. To me, this track was so close to my favorite track, along with Rooster and Them Bones. Those were my top 3, but Rooster just edged them both out by just a smidgen of a hair. But this song, obviously, is a prime cut, and it's making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
Imagine how great this album, and this is their album. They made the album. They put the songs on the album. But imagine if they took the songs off that we just didn't identify with, how great this album would have been for us.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, for us.
Right.
But because you got to remember, too, you and I think, are on the older side of Gen X. We were born in the 60s.
Right.
Remember, Gen X goes from people born in 1965 through 1980. Some say 1979, but really, can you imagine those kids who were born in 1979, 78, or 1980? They were becoming teenagers at the time that all these Seattle grunge and alternative bands were coming out. Those kids, those guys who are still Gen X, I'm sure they freaking love this stuff. And here we were, both of us were already in our 20s by the time this album came out, 24, 25, whatever. And I connected with it. I mean, there was a part here where I think you said it somewhere on another episode where you said in the 80s, towards the end of the 80s, you were kind of done with the 80s bands, metal bands,
right,
and you were kind of moving on. I think there are quite a few of our friends and people in Gen X that, they're maybe not as musically inclined, that kind of stuck with 60s, 70s, and 80s, and that's it. They stopped listening to anything new. But I'm glad that you and we continue to kind of explore and start listening to other different stuff. And I think that's where you and I kind of diverged, because I already had moved away. I'm in Hollywood, California, and you were still in Naugatuck, Connecticut, and we were no longer listening to music together.
Right.
And so it'll be pretty interesting when we should do some sort of episode where we talk about the different albums that we started listening to in the 90s and the 2000s and figure like, oh my God, you listened to that? No, you listened to that.
Well, how about we do this? How about you record your part in California in your closet. I'll record my part in Port Orange, Florida in my closet, and we'll just make a podcast episode.
Dude, you are a genius.
Well, that's
freaking genius.
That's what they pay me for.
How much?
I'd rather not say. I don't like to talk finances.
Exactly. All right, guys. So that does it for our album review of Dirt by Alice in Chains. Dirty Jim, why don't you mention our companion episode as well as what amazing music we're going to be reviewing next time?
Okay, so if you have not listened to it yet, the companion episode for this album is from Cinderella. It's their 1988 album, Long Cold Winter. And next time, in 2 weeks, we got a special one. We're going a little flashback to the Lipstick and Leather podcast. And we're doing a Make Me a Mix of the Rolling Stones. And we're going to take 5 of their albums from 1970 to 1976, which will include Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, Goat's Head Soup, It's Only Rock and Roll, and Black and Blue. And also the second album, the companion episode of that one, will be the 1983 Def Leppard album, Pyromania.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I mean, we, back on Lipstick and Leather, when we had that podcast before transitioning over to Get the Fluff Out, we used to do a segment called Make Me a Mix. And both Dirty Jim and I, we loved that segment. We started thinking about, hey, maybe we could just reintroduce Make Me a Mix over here on Get the Fluff Out. And it actually opened up a world of bands that we would have never really have covered on Lipstick and Leather, because now we're opening up to, 60s bands, 70s bands, and stuff that's not quote-unquote heavy metal or 80s, glam metal, whatever you want to call it. But, man, there's going to be some good Make Me a Mix episodes that we're going to be coming up with as time goes on. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Rolling Stones have so many albums that we decided to do it this way, where the Make Me a Mix, you pick 10 songs, I pick 10 songs, and we talk about them, and those make the playlist. And I broke this down into 4 different segments for the Rolling Stones. So this will be nice in 1970 through 76, and later on the podcast, episodes down the line, we'll probably get into another one. But I'm going to have fun doing this one.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, go ahead and go to Spotify, hit the follow button on the Get the Fluff Out podcast, so that way you can be notified when new double episodes are released on the 1st and the 15th of the month. Also, if you have any kind of comments or suggestions, you can email them to us at getthefluffoutpodcast@gmail.com. Or you could also just feel free to comment on our social media pages. They're on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And you could just find us by doing a search for Get the Fluff Out Podcast on each of those social media channels. Or you could just go directly to our website, which is www.getthefluffoutpodcast.com.
Okay, and the sound effects that we don't do ourselves, we find on a site called zapsplat.com. And the musical intro from our podcast we get from a site called looperman.com. And it's a mixture of 2 loops. One is a drum loop from HP Records called Vintage Kit 2, and the other one is a guitar loop from Geomoon called Groovy Rock Guitars Loop Riff.
And then the ending outro music is a song called Elysian Fields by our band, Forced Entry, from 1988, which was copywritten by myself, Hollywood, and Dirty Jim. So that's it, guys. We want to thank everyone for carving out some time in your busy schedule to listen to the Get the Fluff Out podcast and to get a little Gen X nostalgic with us. So with that being said, Dirty Jim, we just got the fluff out.
I'm on a Mexican radio.